Greetings in the mighty name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First, Jah RASTAFARI. Once again, greetings, ones and ones. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be accepted in thy eyesight. Yes, I gotta address a narrative that quite prevalent. Enough of I run with that sound here too. And the sound I always run with is in relation to slavery. And enough of I like to run with the narrative, and this is the narrative. If it wasn't for no Africans, no white man coulda go into the interior Africa and sell iron in slavery. And it's a good argument. But you see, when you know your story and you know your history, then you can debunk them kind of sentiments here with facts. Now, first and foremost, one must ask oneself, what kind of black man, or what was the type of mindset that participate, and from what construct this black man or African mind was entering into the slave negotiation with the European psychology. Now, first and foremost, the main reason why this occurs in truth and in fact is because of the divisive mindset, tribal and religious mindset. Now, out of this divisiveness, it was exploited by the European man, and the ones them that involved in the slave trade mainly was the Arab psychology, the black Arabs. See it? Again, a certain type of psychology. But nonetheless, we're not going to play no blame game, because that is not the how I go debunk this argument once and for all. Now, this is the how I debunk that. Yes, Africans did participate in slavery, but the question is, what was the African construct of slavery, or what was the mindset where the Africans are entering into the slave negotiation with, versus the European chattel slavery versus the African construct of slavery? Now, to answer these questions, I have to utilize, because I observe, and I wasn't there, but I is a student and I observe I story. So I read, and out of reading I sights up certain things and get a full overs of the African construct in relation to slavery versus the European. Now, how I come to this conclusion is within this book here. This book here, what them give and call it the Bible. And in this book, in Genesis 37, them have a character, and the character name Joseph. And Joseph brothers sell him into slavery, and the way them sell him into slavery, him end up in Egypt as a slave. Now, from Genesis 37 to Genesis 50 give you a progress of Joseph journey in Egypt. Now, as a slave, sold into Egypt as a slave, Joseph rose up within the Egyptian social class to the point of leadership or governance, or if you want to give him a title matching up to present day time, he becomes the economist or the treasurer, the economist of Egypt, where him amass so much power where him could have bring in him family and him extended family in Egypt for refuge when famine. This are the kind of power where Joseph started out in the Egyptian society as a slave and rise up to amass immense power till him could have influenced even the Pharaoh decision process, or make decision and the Pharaoh co-sign it. This is the kind of power where Joseph, the slave, amassed within Egypt. So the point where I use Joseph is to show the African construct of slavery versus the European one. As the European construct of slavery, there's nowhere I and I could have rise up to them kind of levels there and power. Not even present day, after we gone 500 years of European chattel slavery and them so-called abolition and emancipation. There's no way. Well, it take over 500 years before we could have really reached to the top tier leadership. Because we have to take President Obama into consideration in order for them system. So the point I make is that when the Africans entered into slave agreement with the Europeans, they did not over the levels where the European construct of slavery was. And the Africans, when they found out, the Africans fought. That's why you have Kaina, not even Kaina, and Nazinga, and these people fighting the Portuguese for over 40 years. A fight against slavery. So Africans didn't sell them brothers and sisters into slavery based on the white man construct of slavery. And when they found out after the fact, they fought and defend it. So I can't run with the narrative as a Rasta. If you talk about say I sell I brothers into slavery, like I willingly negotiate the diabolical enterprise called the Atlantic slave trade with the Portuguese and them. For so the atrocity and wickedness where I as Africans, Nation Africans experience during that journey within and come over and within the diaspora. So this is how I debunk that. The African construct of slavery was totally different. Because within the African construct of slavery, a slave could rise up to the highest social order. Even becomes chief too. Not in the European one. You see it? And that is the difference. So did the Africans participate? Yes, they did. But not from the position. And Joseph's story in the Bible is my case in point. And there are other historical records, but I like to use Joseph because being that it is the Bible where them give you and tell you say the word of God. And it just show me how the Egyptian them deal with slave, the Egyptian construct of slavery. And Egypt is Africa. So therefore it's pervasive all throughout the continent of Africa. How them deal with slave. Them never take people and turn them into animals like the Europeans them did. So that is the difference. Or like the Arabs them did, because the European them learned from the Arabs. You see it? So when I come with that narrative there, ones who facilitate and run with it is because you don't know your story. Because as you know your story, you wouldn't run with it. Like how Rastafari address it right now and I speak to that particular event. You see it? So fire upon them mindset there. Africans are sell them brother and sister in a slavery from the European position, diabolical, chattel, slavery when implement against I and I when him get captives. You see it? So again, I just a I and I sound on a regular, cause enough black skin, slave minded people love run with that for the disconnection, because all of those who are run with that mindset and that narrative there because they want to disconnect from Africa. It's the African disconnected narrative that to say you don't want to have anything to do with Africa and you are not now African. I'm not no African. They sold me to slavery. Where? Burn you out. Move up. Rastafari, burn that. Africans did not participate in slavery from the European construct. Africans had their own construct of slavery, and within the African construct of slavery, a slave could rise to the highest social order. Case in point, Joseph in the Bible. Go read Genesis 37 to 50 and get the fullness, and then come back and talk to me. Move up. Rastafari live it and reign in I and I itinerary. Jah Rastafari without apology.